How many times have you whipped yourself, asking why you weren't enough? You felt the spark, you felt the connection. It was electric, wasn't it? But then, it just faded. You're left staring at your reflection, asking what was wrong with you or why that other woman got the ring while you got the cold shoulder. I'm going to tell you something right now. Sin pelos en la lengua. The verdict of what was going to happen with that man was decided long before you ever met. It had nothing to do with your personal value, your beauty, or your soul. It was entirely about where he was in his own psychological timeline. If you spend any time scrolling through social media, you've seen those viral creators preaching absolute nonsense. They say things like, "The woman decides when the sex happens, but the man decides when the relationship happens." Let me tell you, that is a tontería como un castillo. It is a massive, hollow oversimplification that ignores the raw reality of human desire and the complexities of the male ego. While there are general trends regarding commitment and biological timing, the truth is much messier than a simple catchphrase. There are plenty of women rejecting relationships because the guy doesn't fit their life. And there are plenty of high-value men who have easy access to intimacy whenever they please. The problem isn't a power struggle over who gets to choose. The real issue arises when you seek a deep, meaningful commitment from a man who is currently in a very specific, very selfish stage of his life. We need to talk about the conquest phase of the male ego. For many men, there is a period of autodescubrimiento, a self-discovery of their own potential. Think of the guy who was invisible in high school. Maybe he was awkward or overlooked. Then he hits his late 20s, starts working out, builds a career, and suddenly realizes he has the gift. He realizes he can attract women he once thought were completely out of his league. This realization is an absolute idol for him. He isn't in love with you. He is in love with the experience of his own potential. In this state, he isn't looking for a partner. He is looking for trophies. He isn't seeking a soulmate. He is seeking to archive conquests to prove to himself that he has finally arrived. When a man is caught in this particular gravity, you could be the most perfect, intelligent, and radiant woman on the planet, and you still wouldn't get him to stay. Why? Because he is completely closed off to the vulnerability required for falling in love. He is too busy being intoxicated by the fact that he can conquer. It isn't personal, though it feels like a knife to the heart. He isn't sitting there maliciously planning to destroy you. In his mind, he's just playing a game where the goal is to hear what he wants to hear and get what he wants to get. He will tell you exactly what you want to hear, the sweet whispers, the future plans, because he has perfected those scripts as tools to archive the conquest. Once that conquest is officially archived in his mental ledger, he moves on to the next one to validate his power again. You might be tempted by the Hollywood myth. You know the one. The bad boy meets the special girl and suddenly realizes he wants to change. That is the most dangerous lie ever told to women. It makes you think that if you just try harder, or if you're just a little bit more patient, you'll be the one to tame him. But the truth is, a man like this only stops when he gets tired. When he has finally exhausted his hunger for external validation, when he is bored of the hunt and the shallow thrill of the chase, that is when the woman of his life miraculously appears. And here is the blunt truth. That woman of his life isn't necessarily more special than you. She might even have fewer qualities. The only difference is the timing. If she had shown up 2 years earlier, she would have been another archive. She is the right one because he was finally ready to stop running. This is exactly why you must stop punishing yourself with the not enough narrative. You are throwing yourself into a pit of self-loathing over a game that was rigged before you even sat down at the table. You think that if you hadn't slept with him so quickly, or if you had been more mysterious, the outcome would have changed. Let me be crystal clear. A man on a conquest mission is an expert at calibration. If you make it difficult, he will wait longer and perform better. But once the conquest is finalized, the result remains identical. He isn't looking for a connection. He's looking for the end of the level. The coldness you see in him post-intimacy isn't because you lost your worth. It's because he finished the objective he set for himself. You cannot strategy your way into the heart of a man who is currently obsessed with his own ego. I see women trying the no contact rule or hitting the gym to post revenge photos, hoping he will see what he lost. Sinceramente, it won't work on a man in this stage. He isn't in an emotional headspace where your absence causes him reflection. He's already focused on the next victory. Your best move is a total shift in perspective. Realize that your value is a constant, not a variable determined by his lack of maturity. You are enough. You have always been enough. And you are far too precious to spend your days trying to impress a man who is only using you as a mirror to admire himself. Learn to recognize the signs of a man in his conquest era. Look for the hyper-intensity that feels too good to be true. Look for the lack of real, slow-burn curiosity about your soul versus the high-speed pursuit of your body. When you see the trick, do not stick around for the second act. Do not allow him to take you for a fool. Walk away with your dignity intact, knowing that true commitment isn't something you have to trick a man into giving. You didn't lose him. He lost the opportunity to know you. Choose yourself.